got married but kept my affair on the side for pleasure. Now my husband found out and he did this. It is barely my 1-year wedding anniversary and my marriage is already threatening to crumble. Please tell me, is it a crime to be confused about what partner you want to marry or keep as a side piece? Is it a crime to want to have an AP after marriage? Men have done it for years now that it's a woman's turn. I'm suddenly being labeled so many ugly words. I am married and I kept having an affair with my ex, but unfortunately for me, my husband found out and now he has done the worst thing possible as a form of revenge. I don't mean to burden you with what happened in my life, but when the recent activities in my life have become a burden to me, I can't help but share this burden with people. I hope to get advice, consolation, anything to tell me I'm not entirely wrong. Just like you might have guessed from the first paragraph, I'm a female. I'm married to Nathan, a 29-year-old banker. My husband and I share the same age, by the way. You might think that we have been married for a substantial period, given that we are now going through a marital crisis. If you thought so, then you are completely wrong. We haven't even completed 1 year together as a married couple, and we are now living under separate roofs. I am at fault. I am at fault. I've heard this so many times from people close to me simply because I chose not to have a boring, isolated life, or simply because I refuse to keep my options closed. I do not wish to give unnecessary details, but it's important that I tell you a little background story. Don't worry, it's going to be brief and precise, so it's basically that I dated 2 men before getting married. Yes, I'm this, I'm that, I really don't care at this point. There's no word anyone wants to call me that my husband hasn't called me since he found out the truth. I'm just here to speak my truth and get a way out of this if possible. So just like every lady out there, I had a lot of guys interested in me at the same time. I just picked the 2 I liked the most and started dating them. The band of the other guy, or rather the name of my AP, is Dylan. I just couldn't choose between Dylan and Nathan. I tried my best, but the 2 of them were just too good in their own ways. I spoke to a few of my friends because honestly the confusion was deep, but no one seemed to have the answer to my problem. So what I did was just date the both of them because honestly it was the easy way out. I just couldn't pick, that's it. I was smart enough to keep it a secret from both of them. No one knew that I was dating another person, and thankfully they aren't friends. In fact, they didn't even know each other. Consequently, Nathan and I got more serious, and then he proposed after we dated for 2 years. Things with Dylan were more casual and on and off, so I didn't think twice before saying yes to Nathan. Even after saying yes, I didn't cut things off with Dylan. You might want to ask why. Well, that's because I still liked the on and off relationship with Dylan. If I liked what I had with Dylan, why did I agree to marry Nathan? Stability. The simple answer is stability. I have read some stories similar to this, and the women are always speaking about their desire to find a stable man. I don't think we women can stress this enough. The desire to just have that one man that will be your husband and give you a roof over your head is too great. That's why I said yes to Nathan. Even if Dylan had asked first, I would have said yes. But that doesn't mean I'll end things with the other one. So I was engaged, but I still kept my relationship with Dylan. We slept together, hugged, kissed, and did everything couples did without having a single care of the repercussions. Before meeting Dylan, I always made sure to hide my engagement ring. I didn't want him to know about my engagement. Thankfully, Dylan wasn't based in my city, so he wasn't really aware of all that was going on. 2 months after getting engaged, I got married to Nathan, and we began our journey as a married couple. Like I mentioned in the first paragraph, Nathan is a banker. He's not rich, but he's not poor either. He's middle class, has his own house, and provides for the house. I also work at my friend's clothing company, cook and clean, and I do my duties. We're both partners that provide for each other one way or another. So that's it. It's not a one-sided relationship, but I wanted more, and the only way I could get it was Hugh cheating. I still spoke to Dylan for the first few weeks of my marriage, but I didn't see him physically or do anything with him. At that time, I was still preoccupied with being a newlywed and trying to impress my in-laws and husband. But after a while, the honeymoon feels worse off, and I was eager to keep Dylan as my AP. I wanted him to be the side piece that provided fun and pleasure. In a way, it was similar to men having mistresses. I don't see anything wrong in it because when you think about it, men have also not done the same thing for decades. I'm not the first woman to do it, and I'll certainly not be the lady. So I started linking up with Dylan all over again after the first 4 months of marriage. If you remember, I already specified that Dylan and Nathan were not familiar with each other. They also do not have similar friend groups and are 2 different guys from 2 different cities. That's why it was easy for me to date both of them at the same time without getting caught. As a result of how easy double dating them was, I thought it would also be easy to date one and stay married to one. The fact that Dylan barely came to my city unless he had work to do was the light at the end of the tunnel for me. I saw him whenever he came, and we always slept together like lovers did. I still did my wifey duties at home, and I didn't give Nathan any reason to complain. Dylan had no idea that I was married, and Nathan had no idea that Dylan existed. I was practically living like a queen who had two options. Whenever I had problems in my marriage, he had a little argument or misunderstanding, I would text Dylan all night and not give a care for the world. Whenever Dylan and I had issues, I would snuggle up to Nathan and speak to him all night. Having two men in my life became my guilty pleasure and dirty little secret. Not even my closest friend or sister had an idea about it. I trusted no one because these Reddit stories have taught me some lessons. But before a great fall comes pride, right? The same thing happened to me. I felt I was unstoppable, too smart, and just too good. I forgot that lies would always find their way out. I had no idea that it would be so soon, though. Nathan, oh Nathan, my husband is so smart. I always knew that he was smart, but I think I might have underestimated just how smart he was. The fact that he was able to pick the red flags one by one till he caught me red-handed is so crazy. I was also so foolish that I didn't take care of the secret well enough. I didn't hide things from Dylan as much as I should. Everything was going well until Nathan caught me lying one day. It was a Saturday evening and I had just gotten back from a long afternoon of pleasure with Dylan. Dylan had also taken me out and he got me a lot of things. I didn't expect Nathan to be home because he usually visited his family on Saturdays. He was raised by his aunt and his parents are both dead. So every Saturday he tries his best to go see his aunt at her home. She had a stroke 1 year before our marriage and has some health issues, so Nathan always makes sure he sees her once a week since he's always busy. At first I always went with him, but I had to stop because I only got to see Dylan twice every month and it's usually on a Saturday. I had to start dedicating those 2 Saturdays in a month to Dylan. What gave me so much confidence that Nathan wouldn't be around was the fact that ever since we started dating and got married, he had never missed visiting his aunt on Saturdays. I was so confident that I didn't bother hiding what Dylan bought for me outside. I just strolled in without a care for the world. Nathan usually got back very late on Saturdays after visiting his aunt, and I got back home at roughly 6 in the evening. It was far too early for him to be in the living room sipping a beer. Now you might ask, didn't I notice his shoes or the fact that the door was opened? Well, no, I didn't. I just didn't think about it because I didn't expect him at all. I was in my own world, smiling from ear to ear as I looked at the bags I got, and then boom, I saw my husband in the living room with a rubber band in his hand. I swear that soul left my body immediately before it came back. Can you imagine how shocked I was? I don't even think that words could explain the tension in the room. I looked like a thief that was caught stealing. I was holding several shopping bags and I had just gotten home. First of all, Nathan wasn't aware that I went out on Saturdays. In fact, the only excuse I gave for not following him to send his aunt was that I was too tired from work. So when my husband looked me dead in the eye and asked where I had been and why I was holding shopping bags, the only thing I could do was lie. I lied that I had gone shopping with my sister and she gave me a late birthday surprise. I'm not a child and I'm not dumb either. I swear that I could see the doubt on Nathan's face after I gave my explanation. He wasn't buying it, but he didn't protest either. He watched me walk up the stairs and disappear into our bedroom. I remember sitting on the bed for almost 30 minutes without moving or trying to change my clothes. I just knew that Nathan looked like he doubted me, and that wasn't a good sign. I knew I had to be extra careful so I would not get caught. I put up a fight, guys. I really tried my best. I did what I could do to keep everything a secret. That's why it hurts me badly that after all that effort, I still got caught. Like, do you know just how much risk I took? I had to stop seeing Dylan for a good 2 months after getting caught the first time. I knew I had to stop going out on Sunday so I wouldn't raise any suspicions. I even started following Nathan to see his aunt. Why? Because I knew Nathan suspected something. The fact that he was home that day was enough reason for me to watch my back. So in order to get in his good books again, I had to lay low. In a turn of events, the fact that I loaded low ended up biting me in the bank, and that became the biggest mistake I made. I literally regretted it instantly. Dylan started suspecting something was up. I mean, like I said, I stopped seeing him for 2 months straight. That's like 4 Saturdays without us meeting because he's only available 2 Saturdays in a month. One time he asked to do a video call and I stupidly agreed without taking note of my surroundings. He had been to my apartment once before, so he knew how my old apartment looked. That's why it came as a shock to him when he saw me in a completely different environment. When I told him I would not be able to see him for a while, he asked why, and I came up with the excuse of being sick and busy. Unknown to me, Dylan had visited my house during the time we had not been meeting up because he was worried about me. He discovered that I no longer lived there because someone now stays at my apartment. He kept the information to himself, though, and he didn't ask me about it. That's it, guys. That's how I foolishly lived my life without an idea of what was going on in both my husband's head and my AP's head. They were both suspecting my movements and doubting me, but I thought I had things under control and was the one outsmarting them. I'm a fool, guys. I'm actually a very big fool. Can you believe that during the video call with Dylan, when he noticed that I was in a different environment, he used the opportunity to ask where I was? I told him I was in my apartment because obviously I had no idea he had visited my old apartment. Dylan proceeded to ask why the environment was different, and I told him it was because I renovated my apartment. Can you see just how foolish I was? I mean, then at that moment I wasn't aware of his suspicions, so I actually thought I was being smart. Never in a million years did I think I would end up getting embarrassed and gaslighter when I thought I was the one doing the gaslighting. So just like I was saying, I foolishly lied about getting my apartment renovated. I even used that as an opportunity to say it was one of the reasons I couldn't see him. I told him renovating the apartment was taking my time and making me too busy, and that's why I was getting sick because I was also working. Dylan actually went on with my story and pretended to believe what I was saying. I forgot all about the video call and moved on with my life. I thought I was handling both relationships well, and I believed that I had managed to earn Nathan's trust again. Ha! That just makes me laugh at myself. Trust me, this experience of mine has taught me that it's much easier to stay committed to one partner than to juggle so many relationships at once. Your head will always be in a million places and you will have absolutely no idea of what you are doing. The worst thing in double dating is when both partners start doubting you and you're trying your best to cancel the doubt and make peace with both of them. What's even worse is when you have absolutely no idea that you're even being doubted in the first place. Unfortunately for me, that's exactly what happened in my case. I had no idea that I was being doubted. Not until I discovered that Nathan had started doing some things I found extremely questionable. Like I said earlier, I underestimated just how smart Nathan was. He was very smart, to say the least. Do you know that the only reason Nathan was home that Saturday was because he suspected that I was up to something? He wasn't comfortable with me suddenly not accompanying him. TKC his aunt, so he decided to stay home that day to see what I would do. I told him I was going to get coffee that morning before I left. I knew he normally left early in the morning, so I didn't have a problem leaving before him because I was confident he would go to see his aunt. But he refused to go out that day and waited till I showed up in the evening. He suspected me when I said I went shopping with my sister because in the morning I told him I was going to get coffee. Can you see the loophole? How did I go from getting coffee to spending the whole day shopping with my sister? I didn't even think about that because I was too shocked back then. Can you believe that Nathan decided to take matters into his own hands and ask my sister if I actually went shopping with her? He did it in such a smart way, by the way. He did it in a way that would not raise suspicions at all. My sister is 2 years younger than me and she lives with my parents. Nathan actually visited my home without telling me. He made it look casual, just as he casually thanked my sister for the gifts. My foolish sister then denied giving me any gift. Instead of calling me first or just going with the flow till she understood what was going on, she decided to deny taking me shopping. Naturally, Nathan is very goofy. He makes a lot of jokes, so my parents took what he said as a joke. No one thought of telling me because they had no idea there was more to it. Another thing is my sister didn't see the need to call me because, just like I said, no one knew I was with 2 men except me. So Nathan found out I lied and then he kept it to himself. I had no idea, by the way. I thought I had things under control clearly, but I didn't. On the other hand, Dylan was also trying his best to catch me red-handed. He asked us to finally meet after those 2 months, and I said yes. It was on a Saturday as usual, and I had to cancel accompanying Nathan to see his aunt. I canceled impromptu, and even though I knew it would be risky, I just couldn't resist. I missed Dylan so much, and I wanted to see him again. So I met up with him at his apartment like I usually did. Dylan didn't even hesitate before he started asking me several questions. He asked why I had relocated without letting him know, why I lied to him, and why I didn't meet him for 2 months. To be honest, I was really caught off guard that day. I think it's because I just didn't expect his suspicions. To be honest, Dylan had been the least of my problems when it came to getting caught. In my head, I thought the only one I had to keep an extra eye on was Nathan. I thought Dylan was unaware of his surroundings and was just too carefree to care where I had been 2 months. But it turned out that Dylan actually noticed, even though he loved to act like he didn't. That's why I was really caught off guard when he started asking me several questions. I was completely defenseless and had nothing to say to him because I didn't expect it. I stayed mute and listened to him rant over and over again about how he didn't trust me anymore and wanted me to tell him the truth. Just when I was about to actually make up lies and try to save myself, We heard a knock on the door. In that moment when I was secretly praying to be swallowed by the walls, I was happy to have the intrusion. In fact, I thought that it was my good deeds that were paying off, and someone magical came to open the door in order to save me from the questions I was being bombarded with. But unfortunately for me, I met Nathan at the door after I ran to unlock it. I was shocked beyond words. I didn't expect it at all. The only thing I could say was, "Aren't you supposed to be at your aunt's place?" "And do you know what he replied?" Nathan said. "Aren't you supposed to be a faithful wife?" I had no reply. I knew it was over. I knew I couldn't salvage the situation. I had been caught red-handed, literally. Dylan pulled my hand immediately and asked if I was really married. Nathan answered for me. I watched both of them ask each other questions right in front of me. I was still too shocked to speak. I couldn't believe that Nathan followed me all the way to Dylan's place. I was ashamed and embarrassed, so I did the only thing a coward would do. I ran out of the room without looking back. I have never ran that fast in my life. I couldn't believe that Nathan was able to catch me. When I got home, I was met with my things outside of the house. To my surprise, Nathan's cousin's sister was busy pushing my boxes out. It was then it dawned on me that he had found out long before and was planning to chase me away. I was too embarrassed to even speak to her. Can you believe that the same girl that used to respect me so much handed me the divorce papers? I have still not signed them, though. I was immensely embarrassed. Nathan found out the truth and planned all this for weeks without my knowledge. He only waited for proof. Do you know what's worse? The fact that our marriage is barely 1 year old means that I am not even eligible for alimony. I don't know what to do. I need help. Update. I literally married a con artist, guys. Nathan is so cruel. Can you believe that he's fighting with all he got to make sure I get nothing out of this marriage? Yes, we're still not legally divorced. He applied for dissolution in court, and it's taking time because since our marriage is premature, we need to give reasons as to why we cannot stay married. We're heading towards finalizing the divorce, and it has taken a toll on me because both emotionally and financially. Even after spending money on a lawyer, I'm still not going to get money from him. I lost my relationship with Dylan, and I'm miserably broke, single, and soon to be divorced. Nathan is just extremely cruel. I begged him to keep the marriage and forgive me. I even tried being dramatic in court, but that only worked against me. I'm finding it hard to find an apartment. I've been staying with my parents, but they're making life unbearable. They keep telling me, "You messed up your life." Like I don't know that already. I'm tired of my sister looking down on me every day. No. My neighbors are gossiping because everyone saw me dragging my boxes back 5 months ago with no ring on my finger. Yes, Nathan took his ring back. I've been at my parents' place for the past 5 months. Everyone already knows I'm not in good terms with Nathan. This divorce came with so much shame and embarrassment that I'm certain it might take my whole lifetime to recover from the damage I've caused myself.